All right, welcome to The Explainer. Today, we're diving headfirst into one of the biggest questions imaginable. And we're going to do that by looking at this really fascinating, almost unbelievable connection between cutting-edge physics and ancient mysticism. We're going to see if a blueprint for the entire universe, written thousands of years ago, actually lines up with what our best scientists are figuring out right now.
Okay, so let's just get right to it. The question that probably keeps physicists staring at their ceilings at 3 a.m. What was there before the Big Bang? I mean, think about that. Before time itself, before space, before anything we can even comprehend. This is the kind of question that pushes science and our brains to the absolute edge.
And, when you ask a question that big, you're going to get some pretty wild and honestly brilliant ideas. So let's start there. What does modern cosmology actually think might have been going on before our universe kicked off? Well, the first thing you realize is nobody agrees. There is no single answer. Scientists are throwing around some truly mind-bending possibilities. You've got theories about cyclical universes, one that ends in a big crunch and then starts all over again with a new Big Bang. Or how about this one? Our entire universe exists inside a giant black hole. Or maybe universes are budding off each other, like branches on a tree. It's all speculation at this point, for sure. But man, it just shows you how far outside the box we have to think to even get close to an answer.
But there is one idea that gets a lot of attention. It's the idea that our universe just popped into existence. It started as a quantum fluctuation. So picture this timeless, endless sea of pure cosmic energy. And then suddenly, a tiny, random hiccup, a little blip of energy, and boom, that's our universe. If that's true, it means we could just be one bubble in this massive cosmic bubble bath of other universes. So just hang on to that idea. A whole universe, born from a tiny speck of energy.
Okay, now this is where our explainer takes a really wild turn. What if I told you that these incredibly modern scientific ideas aren't actually new at all? What if there was a kind of blueprint for them, written down thousands of years ago? It's time to talk about an ancient mystical philosophy called Kabbalah. And I know what you're thinking. Physics and mysticism. They seem like total opposites, right? On one hand, you've got modern physics. It's all about math, experiments, cold, hard data. It's trying to figure out the how. How does the universe work? On the other hand, you have ancient mysticism. It's all about philosophy, meaning, and purpose. It's asking the why. Why are we here? But stick with me, because as you're about to see, these two very different paths might just be leading to the exact same place. Now, it's super important to get this one thing straight. Kabbalah isn't a fixed, static religion, a book of rules that never changes. The sources we're looking at describe it as a living, breathing philosophy, something that's always been evolving, adapting its ideas as new knowledge comes along over the centuries. It's basically designed to grow right along with our own understanding of the world. And this timeline? Wow, this really puts it all into perspective. The basic ideas in Kabbalah we're talking about, they go back thousands of years, millennia before modern physics was even a thing. And the really specific stuff we're going to get into, the interpretations from a guy named Rabbi Isaac Luria, or the Ari, he was writing this stuff down around 1550. That's almost 400 years before Albert Einstein published his theory of general relativity, the theory that first even predicted that something like a black hole could exist. The time gap is just massive.
All right, so let's do it. Let's build that bridge. We're going to put the key ideas from physics right next to the key ideas from Kabbalah. And trust me, the echoes between them are, well, they're pretty fascinating.
Okay, let's start at the very, very beginning. Point zero. In physics, we have the Big Bang. We all know the basics, right? The entire universe, everything, rapidly expanding from a single, incredibly hot, incredibly dense point, a singularity. Now let's look at Kabbalah. They have a concept called Tzimtzum. The idea here is that this infinite, all-encompassing divine presence, they call it the Ein Sof, had to contract or pull itself back to create a space, to make room for our universe. And from that act, creation begins, from a single point. So you have two completely different systems, separated by thousands of years, And both of them are starting their story with a singularity. And if you dig a little deeper into the Kabbalistic version, it gets even more specific. The text describes a kind of decay happening inside what it calls a vacated space, which then explodes outwards. So, wait a minute. A collapse of energy inside a newly formed pocket of space that then explodes? Does that sound a little familiar? And this right here, this might be the most mind-blowing parallel of all. Because back in the 1500s, that mystic, the Ari, described this vacated space, and the way he described it sounds shockingly, eerily similar to how we describe a black hole today. A spot with such immense gravity and concentrated energy that light itself can't escape it. A place that basically rewrites the laws of physics inside of it. And here's the absolute key. Neither of these concepts is about a true empty void. It's not about nothingness. Modern physicists like Leonard Susskind argue that black holes are actually crammed full of energy and information. And guess what? Centuries ago, Kabbalistic thinkers like Rav Nachman were making the exact same point, that divine energy had to still exist inside that so-called vacated space. So both of them, physics and mysticism, are describing a place not of emptiness, but of incredible concentrated power. Okay, this brings us to our last connection. And honestly, this one might be the most mind-bending of them all. Get ready for this. What if the entire universe, everything you see, everything you are, isn't actually made of matter or energy? What if it's all made of pure information? You might think that sounds like science fiction, but the legendary physicist John Wheeler, by the way, he's the guy who literally came up with the name black hole. He proposed this exact idea. He called it from bit. The idea is that the physical world, the it, actually comes from information, the bit, like ones and zeros. He believed that underneath everything, reality is running on some kind of code. And here we go again. For thousands of years, Kabbalah has been teaching an idea that is, conceptually, the exact same thing. They looked at the Hebrew alphabet not just as symbols for writing words, but as the actual, literal building blocks of reality itself. To the Kabbalists, those letters are the fundamental code, the programming language that God used to write the universe into existence. And then there's this last, little, weird detail that just makes you go, Think about these two foundational languages. The ancient code of creation, Hebrew, and the modern code of our digital world, binary. They share this one bizarre thing in common. They're both read from right to left. Is that just a coincidence? Yeah, maybe. But it's a pretty fascinating one, isn't it? So, after all this, what's the point? What do we do with this information? Well, Kabbalah has this really beautiful concept called tikkun olam. It literally means repairing the world. The idea is that when creation happened, tiny divine sparks got scattered and hidden all throughout the material world. And it teaches that our purpose as humans is to find those sparks and elevate them through our actions, through kindness, through learning, through creating. We're here to help restore a kind of cosmic balance. It actually gives us a mission in the universe. Which really just leaves us with one final question. We've seen these incredible echoes of quantum physics, of black holes, of an information-based reality, all hidden inside an ancient mystical text. So, are science and mysticism really on opposite teams? Or could they just be two different languages from two totally different points in human history, both doing their best to describe the very same single magnificent reality?